All right. Good afternoon. We have a special meeting of the City Council of the City of Cape May. We're here in the Cape May City Hall Auditorium. It is Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. The time is now 4 o'clock. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Mr. Solicitor.
Under the Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting was sent to the Cape May County Herald and the Press of Atlantic City, and a copy of the agenda was delivered to each member of City Council and posted on the Cape May City website and Cape May City Hall bulletin board. Notice is hereby provided that Cape May City Council meetings are audio recorded and video streamed live. Live video streams are posted to the Cape May City website. The City of Cape May is not responsible if audio recording or live video streaming of a meeting is unavailable. Roll call, Deputy Mayor Baldwin.
Here.
Councilmember McDade.
Here.
Councilmember Meyer is absent. Mayor Mullock.
Here.
Councilmember Yeager.
Here.
City Solicitor is here. City Manager Vole.
Here.
And City Clerk Burke is absent for the time being, but will be attending shortly. On the agenda tonight, for the special meeting, there is one resolution, 224-09-2023, resolution providing for a meeting not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10:4-12, discussion of City Council and Faulkner Act procedures, and discussion of State Health Benefits Program. No official action anticipated to be taken on this topic.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
A second.
I have a question about this,
Go ahead.
just if I could. Just concerned about the procedure. Should that be done in open, or is it going to be under another classification? The Faulkner Act procedures, should we be going into closed session over procedures?
That's up to council. If council wants to discuss in closed session and discuss with the city solicitor items that might be covered under the attorney-client privilege, that would be appropriate.
So it's under the attorney-client privilege?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to clarify that for the record then. Okay, then I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Okay. Public portion, seeing no one in the audience this evening, we can close public comment. Motion to go into closed session?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Time is now 4:02. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, everybody. We are coming back out of closed session. Do I have a motion to adjourn the closed session?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And there's no action being taken, right, Solicitor?
That's correct.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I think we can open our special meeting here. Let me get that, pardon me. Our work session agenda this evening, this is a City Council work session meeting of the City of Cape May. We are here in the City Hall Auditorium. Today is Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. The time is now 5 o'clock. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Under the Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting was sent to the Cape May County Herald and the Press of Atlantic City, and a copy of the agenda was delivered to each member of City Council and posted on the Cape May City website and bulletin board. Notice is hereby provided that Cape May City Council meetings are audio recorded or video streamed live. Live video streams are posted to the Cape May City website. The City of Cape May is not responsible if audio recording or live video streaming of a meeting is unavailable. Roll call. Deputy Mayor Baldwin.
Here?
Councilmember McDade.
Here.
Councilmember Meyer is absent. Mayor Mullock.
Here.
Councilmember Yeager.
Here.
City Solicitor Gillen Schwartz.
Here.
City Manager Vaughn.
Here.
And City Engineer Paul Dietrich.
Here.
Council, I believe we have one addition this evening. If you maybe would like City Engineer Dietrich to explain it prior.
Do I have a motion to add this to the agenda? This is Resolution 24509-2023.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Dietrich, could you give us just a brief explanation on this addition?
Thank you. The HPC has been working on an amendment to the National Historic District for the city to recognize the contributions of the African American heritage that has existed in the city during the time of a period of significance. And it's gone through several different revisions over the years, and the city's consultant has made a final revision based on some comments from the state. The HPC reviewed them at a special meeting on Friday, and then has forwarded on a resolution of endorsement to council, and then it would be up to council to, if you so inclined, would pass a resolution, and then kind of acknowledging it and moving it on to the state for consideration, and then ultimate, if the state considers it, they would pass it up to the federal level, National Park Service, for consideration into our national landmark status.
Great. Any questions on that? This is just the addition, obviously. But, okay. Roll call, please.
And just for the public, this is Resolution 24509-2023, resolution authorizing application to the National Park Service, United States Department of Interior for recognition of the African American contribution to the City of Cape May National Historic Landmark status. Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember McDade?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin?
Yes?
Mayor Mullock?
Yes.
I believe we have the Employee of the Month recognition, Mayor. Next.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, it's our honor of a program that we started this year to recognize an Employee of the Month. Tonight, we're recognizing Frank McConicle. He's an employee who works at Public Works. He lives in Lower Township. He's here with his wife, Ashley, and their son, Wesley. Frank's been working for the city since 2015 in our traffic maintenance department. Frankie is an excellent employee. He always goes above and beyond the call of duty. Frank's work ethics are impeccable, and during hours and after hours. Frankie's what we look at in a leader, a friend, a husband, and most importantly, a father. I am beyond happy that his peers have voted for him to be the Employee of the Month. Frank, please come forward. The mayor and I are going to present you with your citation. Get a picture with the. Get your son, and your wife if you like. Here we go.
He tells you some mommies.
He's not buying.
He's like, what are you doing?
Go ahead, Mayor.
Does that mean they're allowed to leave?
You're on.
Right. Have fun, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And it's an honor this evening to present a proclamation to a very worthy charity that we have here in the city of Cape May. And that proclamation reads as follows. We're dedicating the Kiwanis Club Park basketball court in honor of Genevieve Jenny Farnan, whereas Jenny Farnan was a Cape May County local, known by many for her work as a Middle Township teacher and bartender at the Seaview Inn, as well as her athleticism on the basketball court. Whereas Jenny courageously battled cancer for 3 years until her passing at the age of 29, and whereas the registered nonprofit Next Gen 30 was established in honor of Jenny with a mission of performing 30 acts of kindness annually in the communities that Jenny Farnan so loved. And whereas the organization founded in her honor focuses on empowering youth through health and education initiatives, continuing to make a positive impact in Cape May County. And whereas Next Gen 30 has generously donated funds toward the Kiwanis Club ADA Improvement Project, which will benefit residents and visitors of all ages and abilities. Now therefore, I, Zachary Mullock, Mayor of the City of Cape May, do hereby dedicate the Kiwanis Club Park basketball court in honor of Jenny Farnan and encourage all to gather on the court and shoot some hoops in her memory. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Just do you.
That's great.
My name is Paul Farnan. I'm Jenny's brother. I just taken this opportunity, as given by Zach, to just give you a little rundown of what we do. As he mentioned, we basically try to do 30 acts of kindness through Cape May County. In doing so, some of those acts include scholarships that we present to student athletes that are available to all the county high school students. And what we do is we try to, aside from the scholarships, we try to give as best we can to who needs it when we can. That may include somebody suffering from a medical condition, somebody whose house may have burnt down, or somebody whose bike may have been stolen. But in any case, we try to give back to the community in Jenny's memory. And she was very good at basketball, much better than I was. And she practiced a lot in Cape May, not necessarily here, but we wanted to take the opportunity that Zach and the city suggested in creating a new court at Kiwanis Park, which came a long way. So as some of you may know, we donated the hoops there. Our intention is in this envelope is to provide also more funding for benches and other upgrades as part of that whole redevelopment. So we're happy to do it and hope to continue to do similar things in the future. So,
Thank you, Paul. I guess, and this is the check that they're presenting, so we just want to say thank you. And my experience with the charity is just so wonderful. You guys do so many beautiful things for this county, the city of Cape May. And I know Ashley's.
Yeah, I do want to just,
Yeah, Maureen, take it away, will you?
no, I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that there will be a 3-on-3 basketball tournament hosted by the foundation October 28th in Kiwanis Park. So the details will be available through our tourism board, but there's some flyers up here. If you've got any kids or grandkids or, sons who still think they can play basketball, sign up. So great. Ashley, thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Mayor, if I may, I just have a few things to say. Ladies and gentlemen, for the record tonight, I want to make it clear that in my many, many years in government, majority always ruled. Mayor Mullock, Lorraine Baldwin, and I met weeks ago before the last council meeting in my office when Lorraine stated she wanted to advertise for my position because my contract was up at the end of the year, that it took 3 months to get a CFO. She wanted to advertise immediately. I requested that we should wait till October, at least till after Labor Day. The mayor agreed. She didn't. So the mayor polled the rest of the council members. They all agreed that I should make my announcement when I'm ready. Lorraine Baldwin, on her own, decided to disrespect the majority of council's decision and announced at the last council meeting her announcement had all my employees upset, thinking I was being fired, and also many called from the public asking, why are you leaving? You're doing a great job. She also said it took 3 months to get a new CFO. The prior CFO gave us 2 weeks' notice and left for a job in another town and quit. During the 3-month search, we didn't miss a beat. We worked with our neighboring community to get us through until we had a new CFO. The big difference is I'm not quitting, I'm not getting fired, and I have not turned in my resignation. Now let me talk about a few nice things. After I get through to that, talk about the experience with our talented employees, if I may. During my tenure as city manager, I worked with many talented employees. By working together, we have been able to make Cape May a great place to live and visit. We have placed the right employees in the right city positions in our government. We currently have 124 full-time, 29 part-time. I've always promoted to have a clean, safe, and caring family community. We've provided that. As your city manager, I'm here tonight to share how awesome the employees are that we have put together during my tenure. All departments have been streamlined to be more efficient and effective. We changed the work hours from 7:30 to 3:30 for our younger staff dealing with childcare. However, we also have an 8:30 to 4:30 shift. No one has complained since we made the change. Public safety has always been to me first and foremost. Our police department under Chief Fashall, Captain Bobick, Lieutenant Walker, Lieutenant Mazza, and all our sergeants and men and women, we're fully staffed. This is a commitment I made to the chief when I first started. The chief is best of the 9 police chiefs that I've worked with. Chief Alex Calder and Mike Eck, the fire department, EMS, they do an outstanding job, excellent job keeping us safe and preventing tragedies. Mark Bartum, our fire prevention inspector, and his staff provide excellent details, inspections, and keeping us safe. The Public Works Department, under leadership of Eric Brzezinski, who just left, and Rusty Lindholm, they provided a can-do, will-do attitude that can perform most projects in-house with our special projects crew, saving time and money. Examples are all the bathhouses on Beach Drive being refurbished, repairs to City Hall, and I can go on and on. Casey Radigan. Casey's been an outstanding director of the Convention Hall and Civic Affairs. And we all look at the improvements made to the front of Convention Hall, how pleasing it is. And I want to take a moment to thank the Ladies Garden Club for working with me to make all the improvements in front of Convention Hall. Harry Back, Marty Franco, the Beach Patrol leadership, have kept our beaches safe this season. No incidents, thank God. Rob Kaminsky, our Sewer and Water Director, he works hand in hand with our Public Works on all projects now. Lou Vito, Megan Oliver, and our construction office provide excellent customer service, not receiving any complaints anymore. Marissa McCorkle and Liz Ross in our tax assessor's office, working with our tax collector's office. It's a 100% team working together. Deb Lindholm in our tax collector's office keeps the collections near 100% each year. Janet Perry and Ed Roth, our Beach Tag office, do a great job in sales and collection at the Beach Tag office. Aaron Burke, our municipal clerk, works with me in my office daily on council agenda items, along with our solicitor, Chris Gillenschwartz, an excellent team. Hannah, my confidential assistant, is a saint. She always makes me smile. She is very talented. I'd be lost without her. Overall, I've been blessed to work with such great, dedicated, and talented employees. Tonight, I am informing council and the public that I am planning on retiring at the end of this year as my contract expires. I ask that we now start pursuing my replacement. As soon as you appoint my replacement, we'll start a transition. In closing, I want to thank God for working through me in providing a very best for all of our employees and the general public. Thank you, Mayor, for believing in me. Working with you day in and day out has been a blessing. Thank you.
Mike, I just want to say thank you. You began your career, I believe, as a police officer. Is that right? And then went on to become, some people may not know this, Middle Township's mayor for 16 years, I believe. And then on to city manager of Lower Township, and then on to Cape May's city manager for the last 3 years. And I think over those last 3 years, you've just done a tremendous job representing the public, working with all of us, and your heart has always shone through, and you're a dedicated, hard worker, and I'm just glad you're on my team. So, Mike, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. On to city manager update. Do you have any updates, Mr. Vole?
No, sir.
Yeah, okay. City solicitor?
I don't have anything tonight.
Okay. On to ordinances for introduction.
I'm unsure if the engineer.
engineer-
I know it's not,
pardon
I'm
me.
going to start having to add you.
We
to
got to get that on the
Paul.
agenda.
Yeah.
It's okay. The only thing I wanted to bring the public's attention to, with the HPC, the design standards have now become effective. We kind of started rolling them out with a presentation last week, and just wanted to make the public aware. We're going to put some flyers around and do some little social media. The sign-ups are on our website, but we're having 3 outreach events, all geared towards different target audiences. The first is on September 14th, really geared towards real estate agents, and that's going to be at Convention Hall, and also have a Zoom component at 2 p.m. Following later that day on September 14th, there's one for homeowners, where it's geared to kind of give a real preview to the homeowners throughout the city and what they can expect and anticipate with the new design standards. And that will be at 6 p.m. There again at Convention Hall, and also have a Zoom component to that also. And then the final one will be on September 28th. That'll be a Zoom-only event, and that's for the design professionals, architects, and engineers that kind of develop and design the projects as we move through the approval process, and that would be on September 28th at 7 p.m. So just wanted to highlight those seminars that are coming up to highlight the new design standards. If you haven't taken a look online, the standards are also available. There's another link on there that if you're looking for the nice, clean, hard copy of it, it is available for purchase on Amazon. So it is a nice looking publication, so you can take a look at it there.
Paul, I just want to make sure that we're reaching out to the B&B owners. That's, we sort of not, the business community.
Yeah.
So I know that we've geared one towards residents and one towards the architects and one towards the realtors, but I really think that we need to make sure that we're reaching out to that population specifically.
I believe the HPC had a whole committee for outreach, and I do
Okay.
believe that they'll
All
be
right.
targeting.
Yeah, I
business.
just don't want us to publicly leave them out of,
No.
you know, this, so just want to make sure that someone's taking care of that. Okay.
And Deputy Mayor, I know we attended, of course, the initial rollout.
The kickoff.
Kickoff, and that was just a wonderful event, very well attended, and I mean, I think it was a good credit to the hard work that's gone into that book and the new standards. It really, when you read the book, you recognize what you're doing when you are fixing up your historic home and the importance of that to our National Historic Landmarks. So all the compliments to you and the rest of HPC who have done just a very wonderful job.
There'll also be posters throughout the city, on businesses like you were mentioning.
Yeah, I
Ms.
just want to
McDade.
make sure that
Yeah.
we're, you know, there are a group
Yeah.
of B&B owners, and I just don't want those
Right.
to be excluded from.
Yeah, so there's going to
being
be
made aware of
posters
it. Okay.
on, you know, in different areas. As you come into City Hall here, there are posters. But like you were saying, Mr. Dietrich, as far as the website, you can also order it, but on the website, I think I said it last time, you have the links for that on the website to the Department of the Interior. The whole HBC deserves, you know, a lot of credit, and the subcommittee as well, so.
Great. Okay, on to ordinances for introduction.
Yes, we have ordinance 518, 2023, an ordinance amending Section 7 of the City of Cape May Code to establish a one-way lane of travel for a portion of Roseman's Lane.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on this?
I have one thing to bring up, and as I was looking at this a little bit clearer, maybe I can get some clarification on it. The one-way streets, it has down here Columbia Avenue eastbound, beginning at the westerly curb at Gurney Street, extending 100 feet westerly therefrom. I believe that was before the Soldiers and Sailors Park
yeah.
was put in, so I'm wondering if we delete that, because that's no longer a street, it's only a bike lane? If I'm correct with that description, I believe that's what that refers to.
If it's outdated, we can update it to reflect
You
that.
just need to take a look.
Yeah,
at
just
it.
just
Right.
remove it, or,
We can do that in the form of a motion and amend it right now so that it's incorporated in the publication.
okay. I'll make a motion to amend that.
Do I have a second to that?
I'll second.
This is obviously just to delete the
Eastbound
road that
Columbia.
doesn't exist anymore. Just cleaning up the ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions on that? We'd be voting on the amendment at this point, by the way.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Councilmember Yeager,
Oh, yes.
Councilmember McDade,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin.
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes. Now, Mr. Dietrich, could you give us just a quick synopsis of where this is coming from?
Yeah, we had a request from a resident. There's a narrow section of Roseman's Lane, you know, there's two parts of Roseman's Lane that come out on Lafayette. I'll say the most northerly one is very narrow and doesn't really meet the standard roadway width that you'd need for two-way traffic. And there's always conflicts from incoming and outgoing traffic where somebody's coming out, somebody's got to stop out on Lafayette and essentially block traffic and wait for that other car to come out, and vice versa. You know, cars coming in have to wait, you know. So it just makes it more prudent. And when you look at the circulation in there, it flows better to have that to be just as a one-way out on that, I'll say, the northerly section of Roseman's Lane. The southerly one, you know, that's full two width, has plenty of width, and circulates more properly. So that was the recommendation. And we discussed this with Public Works and police, and, you know, it just was a consensus that it just made the right sense to do.
Will there be signs posted
Yeah.
in that area?
Once
Okay.
the ordinance is adopted, there'll
Okay.
be the appropriate do not enter one-way signs at both sides to make sure the motoring public know. Yes.
Are most of the residents aware of the change?
I think there's really only two residents, and the one resident made the request, so we can send a letter to the other resident to let them know.
Could we
Probably
send a
would be a
letter?
good idea.
Yeah, just
That's great.
just not to surprise them.
Yeah.
Even though it's only two residents, you know, people
Yeah.
surrounding area, you may use that as
So we'd welcome any comments from those residents, of course. Okay, we have a motion, and, I'm sorry, do we have a motion on the amended ordinance?
We have a motion from Councilmember McDade with a second from Deputy Mayor Baldwin, if you
Okay.
would like to
Okay.
introduce as amended.
And then we voted on it.
Okay.
We ready for roll call?
Roll call, please, thank you.
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember McDade?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin?
Yes?
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
And we have an ordinance for second reading and consideration for adoption. It's Ordinance 506, 2023, an ordinance amending the zoning code to include recommendations made pursuant to the 2019 Master Plan reexamination. And there is a public hearing tonight, Mayor.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on ordinance 506, 2023? Please come to the microphone and state your name.
Stacy Shan, 928 Columbia Avenue. I have stood up here for the last, I guess, 3 meetings talking about this ordinance with my concerns about the fact that you're not going to include steps in the setback of the building. With that, what you're doing is you're moving these buildings 5 feet closer to the streets when you're not including the steps. I understand this was going into to take consideration for the older homes that are being raised, and that, but I think you could put in here something with, unless the house is being raised, that you shouldn't be putting houses 5 feet closer to the curb. You're now allowing for these homes to be bigger, and also you're changing the streetscape by all the homes are set back to a certain point. Now you're going to be bringing them 5 feet closer because people now can be 5 feet closer before they even put their steps in, and then steps, will go in. I believe it's 5 feet of the steps are not included in the setbacks.
Anything else on?
I know, it's a
on the
public
ordinance?
hearing, so I didn't know we were going to have a
Understood.
kind of
Understood.
dialogue back
I'm
and
just,
forth.
was there any other, because obviously this does have a couple other issues in it. I just wanted to see if that was it.
No, that was it.
Okay. Any comments on that, council? I share in your concern in regards to, I think the intention in my mind was exactly what you just said, raising of old homes. And just for the general public, of course, when the home goes up, you have to add steps to it. You can't just add from where the old step was. You have to come closer to the line. This is something that has come up at the planning board, at the zoning board, at historic preservation board as an issue for people trying to move their house up, but then can't have steps reach up to the top, to the new door, basically, or porch or whatever it is. But I can understand the concern. Council, any other questions or comments? No? Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak on 506?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I mean, do we want to consider language that limits it only to when a house is being raised? Or, I don't know what the intention of was with the planning board or with the master plan, so it's hard, to know what other scenarios they might have been considering.
Mr. Solicitor, do you have any explanation on the intention from the planning board and zoning board?
I'm looking at forget this amendment for a second. I'm looking at 525-73. This is section A. Raising a portion of or an entire structure to meet the minimum flood standards of the city of Cape May shall be permitted without the need for variance relief, provided that the structure shall not be otherwise expanded or relocated. Further provided that no variance relief shall be required for the construction of stairs necessitated by the increased height of any building hereunder.
So your understanding is then that would already meet the code, that they would not need an exception for a house that's raised?
If you're raising it to meet base flood, so if you have a situation where like somebody is crossing over the 50% threshold for having to be flood compliant, and you're just going for the house raise, the steps necessitated to access that FEMA compliant house, there's already a section for that. What this section does is if council from a planning and policy standpoint wanted to provide the opportunity for a limited stairwell to extend beyond the setback line, provided the building itself is already, if it's a 20-foot setback, the building without the stairs is 20 feet away. And then it would provide a window and parameters for a stairwell to fit there. It's not the longest stairway ever. It's got to be limited to 10 feet, and you get 5 feet of give, essentially. You don't have to do that. We already have a provision for flood compliance in the code. But there's two things in this page 13 that are being proposed. So there's a point A and a point B. Point A is the eaves. It's providing a definition for eaves and what you can extend beyond, and you can view that independent of the stairs. They're in the same section, but those are really two elements to that page 13. So in other words, you could adopt the eaves version, the eaves language, allow there to be a protrusion for eaves, and forget the stair portion, recognizing that we already have something here for FEMA compliance.
So I would be more comfortable with that, because if there's not without the justification and the reasoning for why the planning board wanted to see this, I'm not quite sure. It sounds like we've already addressed any flood mitigation, by raising the house, number one. And number two, I am in agreement with the roof eaves. That's just the nature sometimes of the build and the design. But I don't hear enough justification, or it hasn't been supplied, to pass this the way it is. I would remove it. That would be my view, my opinion.
We were, if I may.
Please.
We were going to get some clarification. Was it only on Yacht Avenue?
Yeah, and we
Wasn't
did,
on
and Paul
anything
gave it
else at
to
that
us
point?
we have that on the back. But I don't
Yeah,
think that necessarily addresses,
I know it
This-
doesn't address this
no.
area.
But we do have-
And we discussed raising that, because originally it was listed at 1,500 square feet, and we raised that to 2,500 square
Right.
feet to be the maximum,
Right.
so that we did address that issue.
right.
That was the last change.
Yeah, that was the last go,
Right.
yeah.
So in terms of this, and look, I can't speak for the planning board or the planning engineer, but my understanding from discussing this broadly was we do have a FEMA compliance provision, but this is a lot of times, from a practical standpoint, when people raise their houses, go to throw all that money at that project, they may want to do some improvements there, reorient the building itself. So we already have a provision in here that we added in 2023 that if you're going to relocate the building, and as long as it comports with the setbacks, you can do that. You don't have to go to the board for relief. But
Right.
that's for strict compliance. This is geared towards, I think, providing just a little bit more flexibility on the development side to say, okay, you can't put the building itself beyond this point, but if you need to put stairs out there, there's a width requirement, and then there's a length requirement, and you can't go beyond that. So 10 feet of width, 5 feet of more distance into the setback, provide flexibility for the design.
Councilmember McDade made a comment to perhaps pass without that provision until we collect more information. Do you want to make that into a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to remove that particular section from this ordinance until we've received further clarification, because I can see several scenarios in which, there are some streets that are much smaller than others, and you would be moving that house line closer to it. So without understanding the reasoning.
We're keeping the.
There's no time issue here, correct?
What I would suggest, one way of handling this is, we have a number of laundry list items that have passed council muster at this point. So we increased the minimum lot area for R5, the Yacht Avenue, based on the last discussion. What you can do is eliminate that last sentence. If the eaves language is acceptable, you can keep that in here. And the eaves language is consistent with the master plan, that's already been determined by the planning board. If you were to adopt this stairs language, it would be consistent with the master plan according to the planning board. But you don't have to. So you can get rid of that, and like I said, it's Part A, Part B. If you like Part A and not Part B, you can reject that via motion.
Your motion is to amend to.
To amend to remove that section with having the 5 feet.
So it's a substantive change. We'll have to republish for another second reading. That's fine.
Yeah.
But that's would be the motion.
I think we need to do it until we hear specifically from the planning board or the board engineer as to what circumstances this is really required for.
If there's a really-
Otherwise,
And if there's a really compelling reason for
Yeah.
that, 3 months from now,
They
this
can-
we
yep.
can talk about it again in its own ordinance.
yep, okay.
Well, I think, just to mention, I think, this is a long time ago for me right now, but part of this, the step issue is that sometimes you have to rebuild steps, and the steps of long time ago don't meet code today. So if you're going to replace those steps and meet code, they're going to be longer, they're going to come out farther, and this was probably the intent here. I don't think anybody in town is going to be making a long flowing excessive step.
I'm going to say.
But, I mean, it's okay. I mean, actually, I would just, can we table it, or do we want them to come back with another amendment? I mean, I think what I'm saying is that it could come back with one more explanation.
I think actually tabling it might make sense so that we don't have to.
To republish, that's fine,
Yeah,
whichever.
Just give it one more shot, because it's, again, this is not telling people, knock yourself out with how long you make your steps. There was a very important reason for
And if
that.
that's the reason.
That wasn't my impression either,
Yeah.
but to give some more flexibility for modern design, too.
We've closed public comment on this, but, go ahead, I apologize. Please.
It's an intertangled thing. I'm Ruth Leo, 237 Cape Hart Lane.
Ms. Leo, would you mind bringing that down? You can move it just to speak into. Thank you.
Down to here? Can you hear me now? Ruth Leo, 237 Cape Hart Lane. It's a very entangled thing. I don't know, have any of you taken a ride back where I live? I live behind cones, trash cans, Mr. Werner does, and the rental property when you turn from Claghorn on to Cape Hart Lane. The houses that are on North Street, the two houses, the one next to the priest's house, I don't know the address, and the one directly next to it. He owns the jewelry store in Cape May, Dan. Those two houses were raised, they were moved, and they're back to, which was a street, Cape Hart Lane. It wasn't titled, but it was a street in 1923 until just more recently. Now, what happened, I don't know. I sat here with Mr. Schwartz and the rest of you. My son-in-law, Jeff, Dr. Tenner came because he was here when it was voted on that those two lots that are now a street were a street then. And if they had been on the books, now what happened, I don't know. You all can figure that one out. And it was a public meeting. It gave them right to go back to 2 feet from Cape Hart Lane. So now he's extended his house. The one next to the priest went from 3 bedrooms to 7, and he went from 3, I think, to 4. Now he parks 2 cars on the left for Cape Hart Lane, plus he has his garage, plus he parks 2 cars to the right. Now what he's doing is he's also parking a car in that little 2-3-foot area parallel with the garage. It is maddening back there. If that street had been opened up, heaven forbid, there's a fire back there where we are. I've brought this issue up before. They park back there. I've gone as much as to the house, the last house in on Cape Hart on the left, they rent to bridal parties, as much as a jitney coming back there. Out on this jitney on my street, they're waiting on some of the girls to come home, and I went out and said, you can't park behind my cars, you can't park on the street. The girl was drunk, she waved money at the bus driver and said, don't move. Now, why didn't I go in and call the police? Don't ask me, I didn't handle it right. If John was alive, he would have handled all this. I'm handling things that's not my thing, but I know the history, and I played back where I am, and it's not right what's going on. Now, I've been told, Zach, that I shouldn't talk to you, but...
You can talk to me anytime you want.
Thank you, Zach.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I don't know who to talk to. Honesty is so important to me. I've had 2 men. My father, we never caught him in a lie. It's very important. But I know what went on was not on the uppity up. And I don't know why or how it happened. But I'm asking you, I don't know where you all live. Do you live behind cones? Do you have to move a cone to get in your driveway? I've already replaced a skirt to my driveway once. Mr. Werner replaced his too. But to make that more traffic back there. I bought legally, when the city put it up legally for an auction, John and I bought the 6 lots, and one more to Mr. Pointer owns, to come in there and make that a turnaround, or at the end, I don't know, down there where behind the guy from the jewelry store. I don't know. What it should have been is the way the street was designed, go all the way through, because it's not wide enough. Now the man that's building across the street, and I don't remember your name, Martin, is friends with him. But he was down, he was examining his house, and he backed out of the MUA driveway, pulled in Capehart, and before he could get to my house, it kind of jots, but I like it because it's supposed to be 15 miles an hour, but they drive back there 25 and 30 miles an hour. He turns around there. Now, at 10 o'clock at night, in my living room, I was like a deer in headlights. His lights are shining in my living room, and if you had it the other way, they'd be shining in my bedroom. I don't know what you're going to do. I just know that that street should be put all the way back through. I don't know how you do it, but it's not fair. I'm born and raised here, and my ancestors are all from here. I'm going to be buried here. I don't know how many of you are going to be buried here, but I'm going to be buried here. I just shared with Mr. Dietrich, my mother was a fiddler from Dennisville. I go back to John Summers, who founded Summers Point. I'm a real native, and I appreciate the respect that I am a native. I'm not here 2 years, 3 years. So thank you. Thank you for your time. Please hear me. I'm a widow. It's a whole nother ballgame.
Thank you, Mrs. Leo.
Thank you.
Thank you. And seriously, you can call me anytime, you know that. Yeah. Call me. Okay, so I think we have maybe a better motion, perhaps, would be to table. Is that, that would give it the chance to not have to republish if we come to the conclusion that, no, this is okay? Or go ahead and delete it right now, which is fine with me as well. So
Okay.
what's the consensus
I'm
here?
okay with tabling it.
Table?
I'm fine with that. Without further clarification, I'm not going
So
to
do you
approve
want
this.
to make a?
I'll make a motion that we table ordinance 506, 2023.
We didn't vote on the first motion.
No, it's fine. You're withdrawing your previous motion.
Yep,
Motion to
withdrawing my
table.
previous motion, making a new motion.
So we have a motion to table. Do I have a second?
I have a motion.
Second.
motion.
Any other questions or comments on tabling? Okay, roll call?
Be tabled to the next meeting.
Yes, yes.
With
Or-
the caveat that we get
the
clarification from the
Yeah.
planning board or the board engineer specifically on the matter of the 5-foot step back and why they feel it's necessary to incorporate that as a change.
I think we should get that in 2 weeks. We should be able to get that in 2 weeks, so
Perfect.
September 19th?
Yes.
Yep, thank you.
And there'll be a further public hearing at that time.
Perfect.
Yes.
Roll call?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember McDade?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin?
Yes?
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
Okay. Next, council, we have the public portion on resolutions only. If anybody wishing to public on the resolutions listed on the agenda, please come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Anyone wishing to speak on resolutions this evening?
Stacy Shan, 928 Columbia Avenue. My question has to do with Resolution 23009, the addition for professional services regarding Franklin Street School. The first thing, I think it should be, according to page 5, in like the last paragraph, I think it should be 168,000 that you're approving, not the 147.
Right.
Okay, because I think the resolution said you're doing it for 147.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Where are we looking, Stacy?
The resolution, I think, is to approve an amount of 147,000. And I think in his letter, he's requesting 168,000. Why everybody's looking for that? My question is this: the library fee or construction has went, when we first were looking at it, it was going to be $5,850,000. It's gone to $9,114,000 just for the construction. My question is, the design fee is 8% of the fee, so I'm assuming that eventually that fee for Mr. Calfani is also going to go up from $468,000 to $729,000?
No. To answer that directly, I believe the example in his letter here was if it were 8%, but I think my understanding is it's not.
The request is for $147,889.50. That's a total. The city would be responsible to pay a third of that cost.
Paul, look at page
that.
5, the
Yeah,
last paragraph.
Yeah, and that reads, if approved, the contract amount not yet billed is $168,141. Parentheses, additional fee of $147,889.50 plus $20,051 not yet billed. So that $20,000 is, he's entitled to that. He just hasn't billed it yet.
Oh, okay.
So it's just monies that haven't been
I just-
under
just
his
hasn't-
original
well,
contract.
He hasn't billed it, meaning they did I read it as he already did the work, he just didn't put the bill in.
No. He's accounting for dollars that he has not billed yet. He's entitled to bill, hasn't billed it yet, but he's anticipating he's going to need $147,000. That $147,000 is, most of that is not, I'll say, direct billings for his services. A lot of it is for lead testing, to make sure that the building was certified lead-free. Also, a lot of his original contract stipulated a 10-month construction period, and this was obviously before the project was bid, but it ended up being obviously a little bit longer, and so, really it accounts for extra meeting time for them to oversee the project. He anticipates that it'll be at least 34 to 40 project meetings. Actually, last week was, this week was actually the first full year, so, we've been in there, but in order to close the project out, he anticipates those additional things. If for some reason the billings are a little bit less, it might come in a little bit less, because if he doesn't have the additional meetings, he doesn't bill for them.
And just to be clear, because this is $147,889.50, we're talking about essentially $49,000 from the cities.
Correct. And the way the resolution is written, it doesn't specifically say that. It's really authorizing the city to pay up to, I want to get to the amount. So in other words, the city has $2 million worth of commitment towards the project, and that, at this point, it would authorize the remaining $300,000 that's allowable that we've already set aside for this project.
I was
To authorize that. So we may not utilize all of it, but.
I was a little bit confused by this. I wasn't sure why we wouldn't be putting down only our 1/3.
I think that the anticipation is that if there's change orders for the construction side of it, not for the construction administration side, that if we've already authorized that as additional funds towards the project, we could do that. I mean, it probably makes more sense to address them individually, but that's how the resolution.
We're authorizing $147,000.
No,
we
a
are not
third.
writing a check.
We're acknowledging that the overage or the additional amount for the architect services is $147,000, of which the city's only responsible for 1/3 of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we add that language in that resolution?
I'd feel better.
So
if it-
we,
I mean, but we're still approving. I mean, I get
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Right.
But
what this does, this is similar language to when the city endorsed the award of the contract for the construction. We made sure that language was in there referencing what the obligations are under the shared services agreement and indicating in black and white that this is not an amendment. We want to see the work proceed. We have a budget that's set forth in that shared services agreement, 2, and then 3 on top of that, which would be authorized by resolution. But this isn't that. We're not changing that. We're referencing we have an agreement in place. We want to see the work proceed. Council can consider that if you want, but that's not what this is doing. And the reason it's drafted this way is because that's what we did last year, almost to the date when the contract was authorized.
My other question is, as I was reading through this, it said, Maury wanted more exterior lighting. Is council being, looking at these considerations, or were they just going with whatever the county wants and then that's fine? Because it seems like the county's making a lot of changes, and I don't know if council has been part of those changes that they're recommending.
I think
No,
the
okay.
county has oversight.
The county is really running the construction, but there have been weekly meetings every Tuesday, and I know Mike and.
Yeah, Mayor, it's a three-way partnership between the county, which used to be freeholders, now the commissioners, the county library, and the city of Cape May. And I have been sitting in the meetings, but the last 2 or 3 I've asked Paul to sit in. And if they make sense, it makes sense. Some of the security things they need, some of the lighting. But I can tell you, it's going to be done by the end of the year before Christmas, and you're going to have an awesome, awesome project. It's beautiful what they're going to do for this community, even though we're only paying a third.
Well, why I'm asking is this lighting. I don't know what the lighting is, but is that something that, well, it said backlighting, so to me it was like more of illuminating the building. I didn't know if that was something that HPC should be involved in how the lighting is
The
going.
HPC will be taking a look at it. That's something we've discussed. They're working out the fine details of what they want to propose. It's really accent lighting to accent some of the name, the old architectural features on the building and accentuate them. And before that moves forward for approval of I'll say, the expenditure of the capital funds, that'll have to go to HPC to review.
Okay. My another point that I want to bring up to make people aware of is that the lead was extremely high in the main part of the building. So even after we did remediation, the test came back high and they had to clean again. So why I'm bringing that up is I think to make council aware that the lead is high and that make sure that you hire a person that can test that's qualified by the state, because there was some question about the last testing that was done, they weren't as qualified. My other question has to do with Resolution 240, Trenton and the Beach, with the issue of the agreement between the city and the county. I know that area on Trenton and the Beach, we had a leak, and then it was fixed, and I thought the city fixed it, and then I guess went back, and I guess the county paid to have it fixed? Because now we're giving the county... No, not the outfall.
This was
Right
the
by Peter Shields Inn?
repair. You're right by Peter Shields. That was when there was utilities being replaced on the storm drains were being replaced on Beach Avenue, and in coordination with the Public Works Department, the Street and Roads, obviously City Manager, we all met down there, and with professional outfit that was replacing pipes right on site,
Right.
the decision was made to have the county have that outfit. I think it's Chavone.
Yeah, because I know we had fixed it,
It-
and then all of a
it
sudden
didn't take.
It didn't take.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm questioning what we're paying for here. Is this the second time?
This is
that
the second time, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, but we paid for the first time.
That's correct. I don't remember that, to be honest with you, but it was supposedly fixed. It wasn't, and so we had to go in and fix it.
Right, but I thought we fixed it. It seems like here we're paying the county because they fixed it.
We are paying the county who had the professionals there. I'm sorry
They
that
were mobilized at the time to fix.
They were
the
there,
city's issue.
yeah.
Now, the other part of that resolution is work that we did that benefited the county. So the net result of this is the county
Right,
paying. the
and I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about that project at Trenton and the Beach, because it's my understanding, when I was on council, we paid for that first work to be done.
And we are paying for it in that they had their contractor out there that was mobilized. So we're reimbursing them for the work that we would have otherwise had to have done, but they had the team out there mobilized. And then they're also reimbursing us for work
Right.
that our team did while they were mobilized.
Right, so my clarification question at the end is it fixed? Because obviously this is the second time, that's all.
yes.
Time will tell.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other public comments on resolutions only this evening? Seeing none, we can close public comment on resolutions.
Council, anything you'd like to remove from the consent agenda this evening?
Anything, council? No?
No.
Okay.
Got clarification on that, so fine.
Okay. The consent agenda, we've got 22509, 2023, resolution appointing members to the Housing Authority of the City of Cape May. 22609, 2023, resolution authorizing the signature of the recertification of the Emergency Operation Plan for the City of Cape May. 22709, 2023, a resolution authorizing the application for the National Park Service's African American Civil Rights Program. 22809, 2023, resolution authorizing notice to abutting landowner regarding sidewalk maintenance and repair. 22909, 2023, resolution authorizing change order number 2 to the contract for the reconstruction of Pennsylvania Avenue, Phase 7. 23009, 2023, resolution authorizing additional professional services regarding the Franklin Street School and Library renovation. 23109, 2023, resolution authorizing the award of a professional services contract to Environmental Resolutions, Inc. to perform site investigation services in connection with the application for Green Acres diversion for the police station project. 23209, 2023, resolution authorizing the use of Sourcewell National Cooperative. 23309, 2023, resolution authorizing procurement of food and related service items through New Jersey State Contract, Division of Purchase and Property, Contract NJ 19-Food-001328. 23409, 2023, resolution authorizing installation of radio and communications equipment at Cape May Firehouse through the New Jersey State Contract, Division of Purchase and Property, Contract NJ 20-Tele-00910. 23509, 2023, resolution authorizing the City of Cape May to enter into a cooperative pricing agreement with the Cranford Police Cooperative. 23609, 2023, resolution authorizing participation in the North Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing System of Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission. 23709, 2023, resolution authorizing approval of cooperative purchasing contracts, pumping service incorporated through North Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing System, Contract B369-4 to Municipal Maintenance Company. 23809, 2023, resolution for the City of Cape May authorizing a qualified purchasing agent to receive certain bids in accordance with e-procurement. 23909, 2023, resolution authorizing final change order to contract for citywide road striping project. 24009, 2023, resolution authorizing a shared services agreement between the City of Cape May and Cape May County for the emergency paving restoration. 24109, 2023, resolution amending schedule council meeting date for the year 2023. 24209, 2023, resolution appointing members to the Cape May City Zoning Board of Adjustment. 24309, 2023, resolution authorizing advertisement for bids or proposals for solar-generated electricity for the City of Cape May buildings and grounds. 24409, 2023, resolution for the payment of bills.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember McDade?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
And Council, we have the one that was added, 24509, 2023, resolution authorizing application to the National Park Service, United States Department of the Interior for recognition of the African American contribution to the City of Cape May National Historic Landmark status.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I know we got a little an explanation, not a little one, an explanation. Does anyone else have any questions or comments on that resolution? No? Roll call?
Councilmember Yeager?
Yes.
Councilmember McDade?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Baldwin?
Yes.
Mayor Mullick?
Yes.
Any old business, Council?
Old business, council? Anything?
I just have one thing. At the last meeting, it was mentioned about the SDL portal for the Construction and Zoning Office. So Paul and I and Erin actually exchanged an email, and we're going to be getting together, at least Paul and I, and with the assistance of Casey, to help us do some educational materials so that when people want to understand what they can actually access on that, how they can access it. It'll be a little bit more user-friendly than just trying to presume that you can go on and find everything, because that's not necessarily the case. This is for construction and zoning, for anyone to be able to look up activities. And so for right now, we're just going to try and put something together, so if people do use it, they'll understand what information is there, and it may assist the clerk's office with some requests that they receive, we hope.
Great.
And just to follow up, excuse me, that information is accessible there now. There is a link on the website under the construction site. It's at the very top, to go to the portal to check on a website. So it's kind of labeled to, like, if you want to check on the status of your own permit, but if you click that and follow through with it, each person that wants to access it has to register their own email to the site to gain access to the site. But once you gain access as a user, it then pulls up address information, and you can pull in, whether you can put in a direct address directly or use the map to kind of zoom around and click on a property location. And then you do have access today to look at property XYZ on this street and see what open or closed permits activity is on any given property. So it is available today, but it is, as Councilman Murray said, it's not user-friendly and intuitive to use it today, and we want to make it more user-friendly. So
And
that's,
it- and it
that's what
won't-
we want to
yeah,
do.
and it
But
won't-
it is available now.
But it will not include every type of permit that a homeowner may apply for, so that's where we want to be able to put some information together so that people understand, really what the scope of it is and the limitations of it, at least at this point.
Right. Perfect. Okay. City Solicitor?
I don't have anything tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
City Manager?
Yeah, I don't want to belabor the point, but I want to clear up my legacy. I was told that Deputy Mayor Baldwin had mentioned to council members and others that I was more or less being left go because I created some lawsuits for the city. That's furthest thing from the truth. I've never, in all my experience, if nothing, I prevented lawsuits for the city. Is it true, Lorraine?
No, it's not.
You never said that to anyone?
No.
You never said that to a council member or anyone else? That I've caused lawsuits?
No.
Okay, if that's the truth, I accept it.
Okay. City Clerk?
Just a quick one. It was adopted through the consent agenda, but I just wanted to make sure that the public was aware that council changed the meeting date for the work session in November. It was scheduled for the day before the general election, which is a nightmare personally for me. So now we've rescheduled it to the day after the election. So the November 6th meeting has been moved to November 8th, and that'll be published in the paper as well, just so everyone's aware.
Everyone got that, so it's going to be Wednesday after the election, not Monday
Instead of the Monday.
prior. But that'll be renoticed and put on the website, of course.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Council members, Deputy Mayor?
Just a quick update on the firehouse. It looks like substantial completion is going to be in October. So we're looking at I'll have to get together with Councilmember Meyer as well as Casey Radigan to look at a celebration for that. And the other thing is it's only a 2% overage on that at this point.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
that's good news.
Great news.
That's all.
Okay. Councilmember McDade?
I just want to thank Mr. Vole for your words tonight and clarification on your position here, and also the fact that you've been always a gentleman in your position, and I know how well-respected you are amongst your employees, and I just want to thank you for, I think, what will probably be a very smooth transition because of the fact that you are a stand-up gentleman and well-respected, and it's been my pleasure to work with you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Councilmember Yeager?
Yeah, I would, the only thing I have is I also want to, thank Mike for work. You're not going anywhere, Mike. We've got you around here for quite a few months yet, and we're happy about that. And, we will, in fact, post the job and look forward to your help also in maybe filling the position. But in the meantime, I'm look forward to working together with you, and it's been very enjoyable up to now. I think you've done a great job.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you. And just a couple quick ones. I do just want to share with the community, we've been getting grants, and in fact, it was in the bills today, for people who qualify, which is the hardest part in this historic preservation and DCA grant that we were able to finally use, which I know people are happy about, because you got to be at the right income level, which is difficult, as well as have an insurance policy for flood, or be in a non-flood zone. 75% of the town is in a flood zone, so it requires you to have insurance. But anyway, we were able to find someone who fit that bill, and were able to get a grant for a new boiler and a new roof for someone in town, which was really helpful for that person. And again, all done with grants, but it took a lot of work on the part of the administration, and I want to thank everyone that was involved, our city clerk as well. Thank you very much. I'm not going to ask you to give you any update right now, but I have asked Maureen McDade to start working on benches on the promenade, which is going to be an extensive project.
Yes.
That may take some smoothing over a little bit, but I think you've already prepared some really good thoughts as
Yeah.
to how we can replace and repair, et cetera, the benches on the promenade, and maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
just
report
a brief.
next week
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah, no,
whatever's
but
your
just,
time.
I just want to recognize Casey Radigan and Eric Brzezinski in this. It's been a real team effort. Just to say that it is an undertaking to take a look at, there are 370 benches just on the promenade. So it's fairly daunting to try and take a look at what this is going to take. But a great team. So we've got some things that we're working on, and by the next meeting, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to share with council and with the public sort of what the plan is. I've said it's like the launching of, the Third Army having to move to Dunkirk. Not even though that I know what that means, but it's monumental to be able to organize this. But great group of people who've been involved with it so far. So which is great to work with.
You've done a very nice job so far, and hopefully we'll get that presentation. I wanted to mention, I didn't mean to scare you, I hope, to give the public a little notice that maybe next council meeting we'll have a report on the benches. We all see some of them need some work, and of course the goal would be to have that in place for next summer. So stay tuned. Next week, next meeting rather, I'd also like to see, we'll get a financial report from our CFO, who will especially be able to go over some of the summer numbers. My understanding at this point is they're very solid, which is great to hear. But just so everybody knows, the occupancy tax is always 2 months behind, so it's a little hard to know exactly where the occupancy tax is. But parking meters and beach tags were pretty much flat, if not a little bit better than last year, which is huge because we all know 2022 was a record year for the town. So those numbers look pretty good. And of course, I want to say again, thank you to City Manager Vole. Your leadership and cooperation with everyone in town and City Council is one of the reasons we are able to get done so many different things that we've been able to get done, and the work that continues. I just want to say thank you very, very much, and thank you for being here for this transition, which is so important for the city of Cape May. Being able to have that transfer of knowledge and information is so important moving forward, and the gentleman that you are, and being willing, even saying to me that you'd be willing to stay on a little bit after January 1st if necessary, to help this next person is very admirable, and I just want to say thank you. And also wish everyone our official start of local summer today. Happy local summer day, and hope you all get a chance to enjoy town with a little less traffic, a little slower pace, maybe a little quieter, because we're all entitled to enjoy Cape May with a little less density. So We love our guests. Of course we do, but it's nice to have the town a little bit to ourselves. With that, we'll open it up with public comment. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the microphone. State your name and address.
Ann Trier, 405 Congress Street. I recently became aware that the city has an invasive species ordinance. I have been battling my neighbor's ivy to no avail. It's choked out my privet. It's now attacking my cypress. It's coming into my driveway and into my patio, and I want to know what recourse I have.
I'm going to let the solicitor who will give you the best answer go right to that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he's going to look up the code right now. Just.
Well, we can take another comment.
Okay. If you don't mind, he's going to look that up to give you the exact answer, and we'll go right to the next comment.
Give you time to look that up. Chris Bizaire, 228 Windsor Avenue. I have a couple things to them, hopefully are short. In regards to the ordinance with the zoning and the master plan, I would make a recommendation, since this is the second time it's been tabled. I know you guys do your due diligence, but it might help to request Mr. Hurlis actually be here for the meeting, because as you guys do your due diligence, certainly you can't exhaust every option possible or every question the public has. So in order to not get this tabled again and hit a wall once again, if not Mr. Hurlis, maybe somebody else from the planning board that could adequately answer those questions.
Can I answer? I think if
We
we don't
asked.
have our answer, yeah, we did.
We did ask-
You guys did ask questions, and again, I'm not saying you don't ask
No,
the questions,
actually,
but
Chris,
there are
we
questions
did
the public
ask for him
may.
to come, and I think at this point we need to, because this is about the third or fourth time it's been on the agenda. So I would just ask the city solicitor, we would like Mr. Hurlis to come to the next meeting if we intend to discuss this ordinance.
That will be communicated after this.
Thank you.
Thank you. My second point, it was either last meeting or 2 meetings ago, there were questions on the wonderful intersection now at Colliers. And I know that, I believe Mr. Vole said that the county engineer was going to look into it, and I walk by that intersection almost every night. And to my knowledge, what they've done was they added the words "all way" underneath the stop signs on both stop signs. If the county engineer has come and looked at that intersection and has approved that, I would respectfully like to find the institution that granted that engineering degree to him and question their credentials, because other than the intersection by CVS in West Cape May, that is currently one of the worst intersections in town. I equivocated to having a four-way stop with one of the stop signs being 30 feet further back. And it just creates a nightmare. It was, I don't know what the answer is. I understand the intent to make it easier for people to cross there at that crosswalk, but there's got to be something done there.
Yeah.
There's going to be an accident.
There's going to be. So as we have a lot of talk about with the county. We have Beach Avenue starting up. We have Lafayette Street starting back up. We have a crosswalk on Madison, 2 crosswalks being installed on Madison Avenue. And I know I'm missing a couple things. But so that is planned to have an all-hands-on-deck meeting, including the police chief and everyone, of course, Roads, Public Works, to go over that exactly. Though I think the one thing that I'd add to it is the simple fact that there is more foot traffic and pedestrian traffic, especially now with the new store open there. So it's going to be looked at, definitely.
Yeah.
My last one is a question and a follow-up, I guess. My question is, where do we stand on Lafayette Street Park? My question actually goes, it's partly rhetorical. When I ran, one of my biggest platforms was Lafayette Street Park, and I think it's appropriate that we had Next Gen here with a bunch of little kids sitting in the front row. That there are kids in this town, believe it or not, and they do use parks. Zach, I know your kids use Kiwanis Park, and it was explained to me after being in office that we were at that point we stood where the housing authority was holding things up because they had everything on their lap and they needed to sign off on the deed issue to move forward. I understand that the city also kind of drug our feet a little bit because we wanted to potentially look at moving a police station over there, which we have gone ahead and bonded for. So obviously we're moving in that direction. So I understand that the delay there. However, we're now looking at almost 2.5 years of the housing department holding this up by signing paperwork. And I understand HUD's involved as well, so there's many layers to it. But again, just like I said, I would request that Mr. Hurlis be here for the zoning thing. If council's not holding this up, and this is the housing authority, then I would like a representative here to tell us why they're holding it up. Because otherwise, if we don't have accountability from the parties that are involved in this and are holding it up, then unfortunately, from public perspective, it comes back to council. And I don't think that's what's happening here. I'd like to start moving forward on this because my kids have gone through middle school and high school with no park. And I don't want to see that for the next generation of kids that were here on the front row.
So everything you said is right on. Right now, where it's at is HUD. HUD has to approve the agreement between JCP&L and the Housing Authority. I am not going to, I would love to have someone from the Housing Authority come give their side of the story, and I don't want to give it. So I think that's a good idea.
And again, that's why I suggest, that a representative, if not somebody from the Housing Authority, somebody that represents them, to come and give a common sense, general language explanation to the public, because the public doesn't understand.
I can give you that right now, actually.
Okay.
Okay. This is from my perspective, trying to help the city navigate through the various portions of this. The issue, there's three main things, and the city, this administration, and you were part of this, attempted to break it down into three different things rather than everything is everything.
Right.
So that we could walk and chew gum on the portions that we could move on and navigate through the tougher regulatory issues. So there's the police station on the corner of Lafayette, the police station project. That's through the Green Acres Diversion Program. That's, from my perspective, not holding the city up. We're pursuing that. We were actually at a Historic Sites Council meeting for the demolition of 817 St. John's as part of that. So that's in process. We're moving through that. That's not holding up the park right now. The HUD approval of the JCP&L and Cape May Board or Housing Authority deed notice is even if we didn't have the police station, that would still be an impediment to constructing on the park, because until that's resolved, that it's not cleared for other uses other than remediation. So every other deed notice that's involved, the county, the city, the Board of Education have resolved their deed notices, and we're just waiting for that final piece, which is going to allow all those deed notices to go up, and eventually a letter from the NJDEP that would, it's a PPRCD letter, and it essentially says, okay, we don't need this area for remediation purposes
Right.
anymore. So that, and sorry, that just to finish the thought, because you asked the question.
Yeah.
That is, right now, the Housing Authority and JCP&L have been coordinating on a joint submittal to HUD to address some of the comments that they have. Hopefully, that's going to lead to HUD approving it, which is a condition of their settlement agreement. So they have, once HUD approves that, whatever the final product is, they'll be able to sign it, and then that will allow all those pieces to go up to the NJDEP. Now, the city wanted to extract Phase 4 out of that, too.
Right.
So,
That's
there's
the walkway in the back, yeah.
So if we can move on that we want to move on that swiftly. And I personally went over to the housing, or not the housing, this is how many agencies involved. I personally went to the Board of Education meeting to, request them to sign the DEP permit that was presented at this council table with an aerial drone footage of what could be a very beautiful project. And
that's for the nature trails.
That's right. That's Phase 4 of the nature trails, correct.
My point in bringing that up is that the police station, the park itself, and then extracting Phase 4 out of that. Let's move on the things that we can move on.
Right.
And that's what everybody at this table and the professional staff has been focused on. Let's move on the things we can move on. We're moving on the police station while all this HUD business is being done, and that's not slowing us down.
Right. And I think the city's done a good job on that. I just, like I said, I would like to hear from HUD or the Housing Authority. I would like for them to sit here and explain to the public and to the residents why it's taking them so long, because we're looking on 3 years now.
Just because I agree with you, and I would like to hear that explanation. I do want to slightly say what they're going to tell you is part of that agreement was about cleanup of some of their property. It's taken a very long time. And I have to write them down so I don't forget, which I don't think I think I may forget one here, but this is involving, of course, HPC, but we've had that approval for some time. Cape May County, SHPO, State Historic Preservation Office, Board of Education, JCP&L, DEP, New Jersey DEP, EPA, HUD, and the Cape May Housing Authority. and I think I'm forgetting one. But every one of those agencies has had a bite of the apple, and the apple's gotten a little brown. So we're,
That's all. I just wanted to ask where we stood and make sure council's aware that, it's an issue that I
Yeah.
still think needs to be pressed on. That's all. Thank you.
and I think the good news that we can report is that once we have HUD approval, the ball is really back in the city's court, and we want to see that part done as soon as possible.
Before Mr. Roush takes the stand here, the young lady that requested had a question about the code enforcement issue. So the ordinance that council passed, 390-8, says enforcement. The code enforcement officer shall be designated.
Mr. Solicitor, can you speak into the mic a little bit more?
The code enforcement officer shall be designated with enforcement of this section. All places and premises in the city of Cape May be subject to inspection. However, an inspection may only be made of an alleged property if the neighboring property owner files a complaint alleging that any subsection of this section has been violated. So, ma'am, I wrote down the code enforcement's contact here. I'm going to hand this back to you. This is a nice piece of paper, and his number's on here. Okay, I'm going to come to you. So.
Is there any other questions on that, ma'am? Okay. Chief of Police is going to help.
Deacon's got
Okay. Any other public comment? Mr. Roush? Hi.
Jules Roush, 1010 New York Avenue. Mr. Voll, when you get the financial reports for next month, could we add to that the kind of balance that we have in the swing account, where the city's funds go into an interest-bearing account every night, and that amount of money accrues over a period of a year?
Definitely.
It is, we believe, a lot of money. And it would be nice, Mike, if they would add the approximate dollar amount that goes into that account every night and what kind of interest rate, because right now the Fed money is around 4%. So I'd be really curious to see, what kind of balances we have earning.
I'll pass it on to Kevin. Kevin couldn't be here tonight because he had college courses tonight to attend to, but we'll see if we can get a report for the next meeting.
That'd be great.
We'll have that on there with the interest that we've accrued.
Just for the benefit of City Council.
Absolutely.
The Taxpayers Association had their annual meeting in August, and we have a new president, Peter Cole. I'm going to stay on as a vice president, and Stacy Sheehan is the secretary treasurer. But I'd like to point out to basically the community, we've had Peter Urata has been our treasurer for 18 years. Not once, in my recollection, has the auditor ever raised a question about missing a penny. He has been unbelievable in his 18 years. We're very fortunate to have that kind of volunteer. I would like to encourage the city, as we go through various projects, to have a final report on each project so that we know exactly what these projects cost. And we have a number of projects, and I'll just mention one of them. I asked for a report on soldiers and sailors, and it wasn't available. I think it's important that each of these projects be evaluated when they're concluded, come up with a final figure so that each of you know what it is and the community knows what goes into them. And kind of, I know it's a new item, Mr. Mayor, but you've got $24.3 million that's been awarded to the city.
That's it's a little premature.
I understand that.
Yeah. So I'm not celebrating yet, I can tell you. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I think we all echo the sentiments for Mr. Urato, who served so well, too, on the zoning board and worked so hard on behalf of the citizens of Cape May through the Taxpayers Association and our boards here. And
it's not just here. I mean, where he has lived previously, he was very active there, and I know he's very active in his church here in the city.
Thank you. And thank you for your service as president of the Taxpayers Association as well, Jules.
I forgot one other item.
Go ahead.
the TPA reappointed Dennis Crowley as our representative to the MTRAC committee.
Oh, that's great. Good. Thank you. Thank you, Dennis. Good evening.
Glenn Hulse, 409 Jefferson Street. My question is concerning Ordinance 512, which is the amended list of historic sites and districts. I learned today that my house has been added. I'm not a resident here. This is my second home. And I realize, I guess, that we met the minimum legal standard of a publication. But the tax office and the water folks and utilities all can find my permanent address, and so I get notification. And to me, the addition, and I'm mid-project, so I had a zoning permit approved that didn't require, because I was not historic or anything else, on the exact same day that this ordinance became effective. So that's time and money and essentially restarting the clock if I have to begin now through the HPC. So I would request there's something we can do for, and it goes to the comment earlier about B&B owners and other folks. We can have an education process about HPC and what the standards are. But houses get bought and sold here all the time, and the owners, new owners, don't have any idea where their house stands on the list, and maybe making it mandatory for realtors to understand that and be able to inform buyers of their home, but also then notifying owners of their status when they purchase a home so they know what they're getting into, because it now changes the standards of things that I have to do for the home, and I'm in mid-process.
So we do have a new welcome letter that goes out to new homeowners. We started that in January of this year, but you bring up a good point specifically about understanding whether or not your home is within the historic preservation, either as a conforming or non-conforming, and the only way you would know that is to be able to talk to someone to understand. But Paul, I mean, it's a change in midstream. I mean, it sounds like it is, so I'm not going to comment on it, but it seems.
Well, one thing I will say is first off, as you probably know, the whole town is the historic district. So anyone who has to go is doing any project has to check with the construction office. And the first thing they'll check in the construction office, or at least they're supposed to, is the house deemed contributing or non-contributing, because that'll have to do with whether somebody will absolutely have to go before HPC or not. Understanding you're saying it was changed mid-project, I'm just saying in general, the first thing you're going to learn when doing a project is whether your house is contributing or non-contributing.
Well, you go to the construction permit office, but what he's pointing to, I think, gentleman's pointing to, is the process for adoption. Now, the current process for adoption of these historic site surveys are HPC, that's a public meeting. Planning board, they have a public meeting and a public hearing on the surveys. The ordinance process, first introduction, first reading, and then second reading. So there's at least 4 public meetings on the city website that this had to navigate through before. There's no requirement that you send out a certified notice to every person impacted on this. I think the presumption of the current process is 4 public meetings is probably enough to gather people's attention, but that could be a policy determination you can make.
I'm just saying, as a non-resident here, and I suspect there's 185 homes on that list, and I was stopped by the office today, and I think about 80 people like myself are not in the current map, which is no longer published online, but the most recent map of the historic site.
It's back up today.
It must have been,
the link got messed up. But
must have been after about 3 o'clock.
I don't know, but I got it back up this afternoon.
Okay. My house wasn't listed previously, and there's about 80 homes that would be in the same, 80 homes or sites, I don't know.
Right.
It's based on the list of 185. There's about 80 that were in that same situation as change of status. They previously were not listed historic.
And
or
your
otherwise.
property won't be shown on that map that's online. That map that's online is the adopted map as the district was approved back in 2006. The ordinance that was most recently adopted did not include amending the map. I've been working on, since the introduction and adoption of the ordinance that added those 83 sites, to create a map. But the intent is, part of that resident portal is to have that graphic information online,
Right.
but also have a working map so people can see what's in the district, as well as at some point by the end of the year, having all the property surveys of all those properties available online.
Can I ask you something, sir?
Conflicting information at best today.
Can I ask you something, sir? Are you, were you granted a permit already?
The zoning permit was signed on the 29th of August.
Okay. And when was
On
the
that date, when I woke up, it was not required to go to HPC for review.
Okay, so when was the, when were the surveys effective?
29 August.
So if he was granted it on the 28th, what's the,
No, 29th. Both dates are the 29th.
That's the unluckiest permit I've ever heard of, I think. Look, if it's effective on the same day that it's submitted, the ordinance wins, I think, you know, but if it's a day before you got your permit.
Same date. Both are signed. The effective date online.
And the day you have a signed permit is the same day that the ordinance went into
Correct.
effect. So it wasn't he submitted the ordinance, the zoning, he was given the
Approved.
zoning approved permit.
I agree.
I mean, this seems like a
effective
case
on
that
that
should be
date.
looked at. And just
We can maybe gather some more information. I don't want anybody to be asking questions and not necessarily having the information in front of them to be able to formulate a response.
It's something that can be reviewed. I'm satisfied that the process, there's 4 public meetings. Could you require every person to get a notice? Sure, you're not required to, but I think what this gentleman's pointing to is, I got a little whiplash on my zoning permit, but.
Right.
But if you're outside of the Historic Preservation Commission in the city of Cape May, I think you're like the exception to the rule at this point. Right? I mean, the majority of the town is in the historic district.
I think, I feel for you. The fact that it happens on the same exact day is a difficult thing. I think it's something that we're not going to solve tonight at the table. I would like to talk to the solicitor about this issue. City manager and Paul, I think we can talk about this specifically. But I do want to just say one general thing to everybody. Having the house recognized as a historic property, in my opinion, is a really good thing. And I have to give a little bit of appreciation to the HPC, for which I've seen a lot of really good recommendations come. And a lot of it comes down to minor detail, yes, some material things, but not, I don't think, most of the time, especially for if it's a key contributing property, it's strict, very strict. But if it's a simple contributing property, I think often you're looking at very minor details that aren't I just don't want people to get the idea that this is, we're in the historic district and we're a contributing property. This is a terrible thing. Largely, it's a very good thing.
I'm all about Cape May and the historical site.
Yeah.
I love it. That's one of the reasons we're in this town.
Right. So let's have a little huddle, and we'll see what makes the most sense. That I don't think anybody would have guessed that the permit will come in on the same day as the ordinance upon second reading, and 20 days after it gets approved. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. B.
Beatrice Pisagno, 1075 Michigan Avenue. I really didn't come here tonight to speak. But you know, there's an old saying that bad things happen when good people say nothing. And I feel that I have to address, I'm not blaming, I'm not accusing, but I have to address what happened in this chamber 3 weeks ago. And let me first say that I appreciate all that everyone goes through. I've sat at that table. I've served as a deputy mayor. I know how hard it is when there are contracts, when the contracts aren't renewed, and things of that nature. But, and we can even take the names out, I don't ever remember, nor do I ever hope will happen in the past, that a loyal civil servant, whom, I'll give the name here, I have personally known for 40 years, or any civil servant, is preempted and sabotaged with his own retirement. Mr. Vole was completely hit by surprise when 3 weeks ago at a council meeting, his retirement, which he had not affirmed or submitted, was discussed, and then there was a rush, I understand later, to post the job. We cannot do that. That is not proper political procedure. No one should have that happen to them, especially at the end of a long and dedicated career. Mr. Vole, or may it be anyone else. That should not happen. It led to a great deal of confusion. It led to Mr. Vole or anyone looking like they were being forced out, which was not the case. So my great hope is that in the future, especially as we're thinking of interviewing for a new candidate, if they realize that can happen to them, they're sitting at a table and all of a sudden their resignation is taken as a fait accompli, they will not want to apply for the job. So we have to think of things like that. And on my own, I want to say this, Michael, as I said, I've known you for 40 years. And in those 40 years, you have been a most dedicated man. And I want to thank you for everything that you have done. And I am sorry for what you may have suffered, but I want you to know that we all appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, B. Thank you. Any other public comment?
Stacy Shan, 928 Columbia Avenue. My question, which I brought up, I think, a couple weeks ago, it's a town hall date. Have you come up with a town hall date?
No, not yet.
No, not yet. And no plans for the future?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Do you have any plans to have a town hall before the end of the year?
We're going to, yes.
Okay. My second question has to do with the arches. Has anything been moved forward with the arches? Or are we still at status quo with nothing yet?
Nothing yet.
Okay. Just want to make sure that there's nothing, we're almost going to be building them or getting foundations in without being approval by council.
That'll be approved by council.
Okay. It was brought up about that stop sign at Colliers. I mean, why I'm bringing this up is that where they put the stop sign is not the approved one that was before, which was closer to the liquor store, and there was no stop sign on Jackson Street. So right now, I'm just making everybody aware that that stop sign is illegal because it's not approved by council. And I just have a quick question, and I guess this is for the solicitor. For members to be put on, like the different boards within the town, is there, what's the requirement for citizenship? Is it voting in the town or voting, how does that work?
There are certain board positions that require residency.
Residency, okay. And to be resident, that means you would have to vote, right?
Voting is a factor.
For residency?
Residency and domicile are interpreted as synonymous under the case law. So it's a factors analysis. You may vote there, where your bank accounts, where do you spend the most time? There's a number of factors that go into that, but voting is definitely one of them.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Notch?
Mary Notch, 1115 Washington Street. My things are really short. Mike, I want to tell you, your employees at night, I see them working, and so the city workers really do a good job. At 5:30 in the morning, they're out there cleaning the beaches, they're cleaning them all, and they're very respectful when I see them. I have a couple of questions. One was about the arches. I talked to Eric Brzezinski early tonight. The The one arch that's second from Primal, the main light has been out for 2 weeks. And I talked to him, and he said it actually was replaced on the 27th of August, and it's out, after yesterday, it was out again. So we might have, an electrical issue there, rather than just the bulbs. But there are a couple questions about the mall. One is, I brought it to a couple people's attention. I want to know, how come that the ice cream store on Uncle Charlie's there by Perry Street is able to have a plastic couch out there that's not a historical thing. This is a historical situation. It's the Victoria Mall in Cape May, and now we have plastic ice cream things that were attached to the outside of the building. I don't know if they have approval, how they got them, and also the bench, which was very cute and would be very cute at any other ice cream store, but not on the Victoria Mall. That I noticed, and also Louise's on the back street of Jackson Street there, where they have the tables and chairs, which I'm sure was approved for outside seating. If anyone from council, any of the members here have seen that, at nighttime they have a tacky screens that are up there. And now, were they actually approved, or are they just putting that up on their own as sort of a barrier for for their customers? But it does not look like it should be in Cape May on Victoria Mall. And that's why.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? No, seeing none? Jake?
Sorry.
No problem.
Jake Stevenson, 233 Cape Hart. I was up in Trenton until 5 o'clock. I just got home, so Ruth had asked a few of us to come to this meeting regarding Cape Hart Lane. I'll try to make this quick. We had major construction projects back there. So for the past 6 months, there's been a lot of construction trucks double parked on our street. And trying to be good neighbors, we said, let's let this persons finish their construction projects. Well, now they're complete, and the turnaround at the end of Cape Hart Lane has become a parking spot, even though there's a big, large no parking sign there. And I'm not here to point fingers at the chief, believe me. He's very busy, and I believe that the issue is it transcends enforcement. And if I had an enforcement problem, I would come to you, chief, because I know your guys are busy, and you have 100 people you have 100 people that think that the parking problem in front of their house is the only problem in the city, and I know that, and you try your best. Yeah. Right, but anyway, Chief, thanks for the job you do. But this transcends merely enforcement. And I know that there's going to be more future projects going into our street. It's a narrow street. Right now, all the delivery trucks back up and down our street. Mm-hmm. It's really unsafe even for the children to play there. And my comment is that, any future development that happens in our area, I'm aware that there's some possibility of some future development on a large parcel that enters our street, that we would like to be involved so we could offer our suggestions to keep it safe.
Absolutely. Now, by definition, they would have to be involved for a project of that 200-foot list, or no?
Planning board or zoning, would they get a notice unless, if it just went through an application process, they wouldn't, right?
If
If there's no variances?
Yeah.
or-
If they needed variance relief or site plan or subdivision, that would be, if there's variance relief involved.
But if there wasn't, Chris, if they were able to just design on the property without having to go through either planning board or zoning, there would be no notification to the neighbors? Is
Not
that-
necessarily, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but it has been very upsetting to Ruth.
Yes, absolutely.
And to
Yeah.
Joe, and he parks his cars to the end of the driveway because they can't turn around. But the thing is, we knew nothing about the houses on North Street, which affected us immensely. It affected somebody needs a drink? Affects the priests next door. They weren't notified, right next door. That was North Street. They were never notified about what they were doing, making from 3 to 7. So we do need to know what's going on.
Well, I think, Jake, if you would make a recommendation to council on any of your concerns that we could at least, that we could look at, Obviously, no guarantees,
Yeah.
but we would absolutely be happy to see if there's something you think that we could officially change. We would certainly look at that.
Yeah,
And
again, Mayor, we're really looking, even, just to have a safe, there's no sidewalks back there.
Right.
We have these cars and trucks backing up. We just need some kind of relief for better egress and access,
Jake, maybe
So,
put it in writing, if you could collate some of the thoughts. At least it's something that we could look at as a
Great.
council, as a city. We all have been back there and visited.
Yes.
So I just think it would be beneficial for us not to have to, it'd be reaction to the comments, but something in writing that sort of summation, is a summation. of-
okay, but we'll get together with the neighbors and we'll try to draft something and get it over to you.
And if we have to tow a car, that's going to stop people.
Yeah, and again, I know the parking enforcement people, they're on bikes, they can't be checking our area, and the squads, they're busy on calls, so. Yeah. 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 All right, Chief, but. Yeah.
Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
Right. Yes. Appreciate it.
Okay.
You're not going to get mad? But additionally, I think maybe that no parking zone should be upgraded to a towaway zone. And I think that may put some more teeth and prevent people from parking. Yeah.
Okay.
One other thing.
Please.
I echo the sentiments of other people regarding Mike Vall. We broke up bar fights together in Wildwood on Pacific Avenue in the 70s, and he's still kicking butt and still approachable. Mike, you're the best. Thanks.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you. And just for the record, Chief was saying that he would be able to help and just give him a call, and he'll be there. Anyone else from the public this evening? Seeing none, motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
All right. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Time is 6:52.
Is there a total service?